Cheers, everybody. Hell yes. Welcome back. This is Good Bets, Good Times. This is season 2. This is the sports betting podcast for all of my fellow recreational degens, my weekend warriors, who maybe want to win a little bit more, lose a little bit less, and have a great day and time along the way. I am your host, Nate Tuttle of NT Sports, and it's been a minute, huh? I am pumped. It has been 2.5 long months. A ton has happened in the football world. Super Bowl, coaching changes, NFL Combine, free agency. Just wrapped up the draft last week. We're talking drama, scandals, chaos. This damn league, man. And that's just the NFL. We'll get into the college football more next week, but there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to cover. And specifically, the one topic I do want to cover today that we'll start with to kick off this football season is, amidst all of the news the past few months, the roster changes, the draft, the trades, the free agency, I want to take a look at the futures market. How has it moved since post-Super Bowl, early February until today? Who are the biggest risers and fallers? Who made the biggest moves that improved their odds for next season? And how about some teams that the needle hasn't moved? They haven't done much. The market's not reacting to the things that they've been doing in the offseason to improve their roster. So, without further ado, kick back, go ahead and grab your favorite beverage, and let's talk some ball, shall we?
I love guys who like football. And guys who like football, they like me back, and I like them back.
There we go. A little IPA action tonight. Let's do this. So first off, when I was prepping for this show, I was curious about a question. Something I wanted to look into a little bit further was, so the draft just happened last week. I'm not a big draft grade guy. I'm not a guy who wants to sit around and say, hey, this team won the draft, this team lost the draft. What are the draft grades? Who got good grades? Who got bad grades? Who picked well? I don't care. What I do care about is, how did the draft affect the outlook for these teams in the upcoming season? Particularly, how does this change their futures prices? How has the market moved? How has it changed? How have my projections changed? Does the overall question is, does the draft really move the needle when it comes to the betting market in the NFL? And taking a look at the odds, to answer that question is flat out no, pretty much not. There was one exception. Looking at odds from last week to this week post-draft, there really hasn't been many changes, minimal, outside of one exception. And I think this is a team that did have a very good draft. They filled some holes. Their futures odds have fluctuated, particularly Super Bowl odds, from plus 10,000 on February 8th down to, I'm seeing some plus 6,000s out there. Plus 7,000 is the best you can get. And this number did move over draft weekend. And this is the New York Giants. Obviously, quite a few changes on the Giants. Number one being Jim Harbaugh. He comes in trying to reset this organization, trying to build what he built in Baltimore. He wants to come in, wants to be physical, wants to run the football. And one of the biggest moves he made was just right before the draft, he traded Dexter Lawrence in Cincinnati, gained another top 10 pick, which I got to say, pretty good move. Not going to lie, especially when you see the players that they drafted in the first round of this draft. They got Alvaro Reese in number 5. Another edge rusher. Stacking up the D-line. Even with the loss of Lawrence, they're still stacking up the D-line. And then with that 10 pick, with the trade, they got a legitimate offensive tackle. Building the trenches. Got a few more offensive linemen, another offensive lineman, another defensive lineman. And we know this team too. A lot of this is going to come down to Jackson Dart. Can Harbaugh develop Dart? Can he take the next step? Is Cam Scatterbo going to be back and healthy? Is Neighbors going to be back and healthy? And the market's saying this, still look, plus 7,000 isn't a great price. No one's saying the Giants are going to win the Super Bowl, especially playing in the NFC East. But is this team going to be much improved? Yes, absolutely. Harbaugh's going to right the ship. Lots gonna be determined on Jackson Dart if he's the guy, if Harbaugh can build around this guy. But he's putting the pieces around him, and he's building a team that is going to allow him to be successful or not. We will see. But to answer my earlier question, the draft doesn't really affect the futures markets. But let's take a step back further. Let's go back to looking at the Super Bowl's future odds starting back in February. How have these lines moved? What's the market perception of these teams throughout free agency, throughout trades, and heading into a time where we got the schedule release coming up? That's going to be a big deal. We'll talk about it in a couple weeks. That's mostly going to affect win totals, maybe some playoff to miss playoff futures as well. But right now, just looking at the big picture, who does the market think is going to win the Super Bowl? And the top of the list here, the Los Angeles Rams. And this is a fun one to talk about because a little bit of controversy in the NFL draft. And this goes to prove my point that the NFL draft is not moving the needle one way or the other for these teams. They opened up as co-favorites right after the Super Bowl with Seattle, plus 950. Seattle hasn't moved. They're still sitting at plus 950. There's some plus 900s out there, but Seattle is a team coming off a Super Bowl win who really they haven't had to do too much. They picked up a running back in the draft, first round, Notre Dame, Jadarian Price. He's got big shoes to fill with Super Bowl MVP Kenneth Walker going out to Kansas City. But yeah, overall, the market's neutral so far. Still sitting at the second favorite outside of LA, but no major movement with Seattle. LA, on the other hand, did drop down from 950 to 700 to be the clear favorite as we stand today, end of April. And that's with them spending a first-round pick on a quarterback, Ty Simpson, planning for the future. I like it. I mean, you think Stafford, this could be his last season, and Sean McVay wants to have a backup plan, or Les Snead wants to have a backup plan? I'm not quite sure. Based on the interviews, it kind of looked like McVay was not thrilled about drafting Ty Simpson, but by the next couple interviews said, him and Les were buddy again. Sean was all in on this draft pick, but who knows the true story? This is not a win now type pick, but I mean, that goes to show, even with spending their first round pick on a player who's not going to impact the 2026 season at all, this team still has seen market movement throughout the offseason. They did add a number one corner, Trent McDuffie from Kansas City, improving the defense, an already solid defense. Hey, yeah, I mean, I like the Rams. This is one last big run for Matt Stafford before he apparently is looking to hand off the keys to the kingdom to Ty Simpson in 2027 possibly, or 2028. We will see. Look at some more teams here. So what are the teams have the markets moved on in the offseason? Starting with the Las Vegas Raiders. A lot of this has to do with bringing in a new head coach. They did draft their number one quarterback. They got their guy, Fernando Mendoza. Brought in Kirk Cousins as well to back up or potentially be the starter. I don't know the role here. I don't know if they're going to let Mendoza sit for a year, let Cousins play. They're going to throw Mendoza out there, let Cousins sit back and be a mentor. But regardless, They brought in Tyler Lindenbaum playing center, Nakobe Dean, Quay Walker. I mean, they made some moves in the offseason. Win total sitting at 5.5. Early inclination is that's a little bit low. We'll see where the schedule sits. Raiders over could be one that we jump on, but obviously not a Super Bowl contender. But this line has moved quite a bit since it dropped. Another one, Indianapolis Colts. They're doubling down on Daniel Jones. Re-signed him, $88 million, 2 years. Also gave Alex Pierce a nice, large $100 million contract. Made quite a few other moves on the defense side of the ball as well. Draft-wise, as we know, they traded their first-round pick for Sauce Gardner. So he's technically their first-round pick. They did start in round 2. Drafted C.J. Allen, linebacker out of Georgia, went safety, guard, linebacker, a couple edge rushers. But overall, this is an interesting team. We know how they started with a healthy Daniel Jones before he was injured. Win total sits at 8.5. They're plus 4,000 to win the Super Bowl. Colts might be a little underrated headed into the season. And the market seems to think so far. A couple other big moves before we jump into the teams the market has cooled down dramatically on. Looking at the Commanders going from plus 6,000 to plus 4,500. Healthy Jaden Daniels had a very down year 2. Went out and got Sonny Styles in the first round of the draft. Win total's only sitting at 7.5. I think they're definitely a team that's sitting nice for a bounce back, but still young, tough division. We'll talk about the Cowboys here in a second, but I think every team in this division is legitimate. Eagles, are they still going to be the elite team in this division? Cowboys should be much improved. We'll talk about them next, but they went from plus 3,500 down to plus 2,200 since the lines dropped in February. Also went defense in the first round with Caleb Downs. 8.5 win total. But the NFC East is going to be fun. We talked about the new revamped New York Giants under Jim Harbaugh. Commanders coming back with a healthy Jaden Daniels. We still got Dak and the Cowboys. Can never count them out. Building that defense back up. They got playmakers on offense. We know Dak can play. And then, the old reliable Eagles. We'll see what happens there. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun over the next few months breaking down the NFC East and seeing who we're going to go with to win in this division. Falcons too, big jump, plus 10,000 down to plus 7,500. This is interesting. I mean, the quarterback situation. Stefanski comes in here, offensive mind. He's got Tua, he's got Penix, he's got Bijan. They got the weapons on offense. They do play in the NFC South, another weaker division. But the market's liking the Falcons. This line's moving. 7.5 win total. Another one we'll be evaluating on the schedule release here in a few weeks to see what that's looking like before we jump on any futures there. But Falcons are another team to keep your eye on. Stefanski comes in. I got a fresh, clean start down in Atlanta. A second chance at being a head coach. So this is a team that I like coming into 2026. And last but not least, also in the NFC South, Carolina Panthers. They're sitting right there with the Falcons at plus 7,500. Win total, coming off winning this division last year, win total sitting at 6.5. A little bit of disrespect. It was a tough year in the division with the Saints being down, the Bucs sort of collapsing with a banged up Baker Mayfield, the Falcons not having consistency at quarterback, obviously firing their coach. If those other teams are better, which I think they will be, I think the Saints will be better this year. The Falcons are going to be improved. Bucs are be consistently contending for this division title. But overall, the odds have improved on Carolina. I think the market thinks that these early numbers, early win totals, are a little bit disrespectful, and I don't say I disagree with that. Looking at faders, what are some of these teams that the market has moved against? The market's cooled on some of these teams. The Browns, I think they're sitting there at 250 to 1. Opened up in February at 150 to 1, down major drop. I think the biggest reason, they had a pretty good draft, not going to lie there. They went out and filled some needs. Got a stud offensive tackle at number 9, Spencer Fano. Got a couple receivers, legitimate receivers, Casey Concepcion, Denzel Boston. But with that being said, it just comes down to quarterback. No idea what's going to happen in the quarterback room here. Win total's at 6.5, which even with Todd Monken coming in, it's gonna take him a year to. He's building the roster. Is he gonna roll out there with Shador? Is he gonna roll out there with Deshaun Watson? Who knows? So until they have the legitimate answer at quarterback, maybe Taylor Green. Maybe they throw out. Maybe he turns Taylor Green into the next Lamar Jackson. I don't know. But the market has cooled majorly on the Cleveland Browns. Same with the Tennessee Titans, dropping from 100 to 1 to 150 to 1. New coach Robert Saleh coming in here. This might be one I do disagree with. Playing in the NFC South or the AFC South. We talked about the Colts already. Jags are going to be solid again this year. The Titans, Cam Ward, can he take that next step? They brought in a weapon, Carnell Tate, a wide receiver. We know Robert Saleh can coach a defense. They brought in Brian Daboll, which is a huge get for offensive coordinator. So I don't know. This is one I do disagree with. I'm going to do over the next few months. We'll do more previews on these teams and divisions and kind of dive a little bit deeper. But first initial thought, I disagree with the Titans' movement here. Next up, Pittsburgh Steelers. Same thing here as the Browns. Uncertainty at quarterback. We don't know. Is Rodgers going to be back? Probably. I don't know. Drafted Drew Aller. Is it going to be Will Howard? Is he going to get a shot? But market's cooling on the Steelers. It's just too many unknowns. This may change when Rodgers signs. This may bump a little bit, but we saw last year when Rodgers signed and was committed, the market didn't move at all. No one cares. If Rodgers comes back, they've improved the defense, added a receiver, added another piece in the offensive line. Another 9-10 win season, but Super Bowl contender. Yeah, this is one where I'm aligned on the move here. Packers, slight cooling off on the Packers as well. Really no big offseason moves. There's nothing to really drive this other than you think the division's going to be a lot improved. The Bears are going to continue to get better. The Lions are still going to be good. Should be a playoff contender once again. And the Vikings as well. Never count out the Vikings. Got Kyler Murray coming in, competing with J.J. McCarthy. I'm really curious to see what Kevin O'Connell can get out of Kyler Murray and the offensive weapons that he has with a very good defense. Eagles dropped from plus 1,300 to plus 1,800, which is definitely interesting. Fun story from the draft here. Eagles jumping ahead of the Steelers to draft Malachi Lemon. All signs point to A.J. Brown getting traded here in the next couple months. Solid roster all around, but once again, it comes down to the rest of the conference, the rest of the division is getting better. They've had their runs, and this is a league of parity, and the market's implying here that they're cooling down on Eagles talk for 2026. Still sitting there at plus 1,800. They're right around the 49ers, Patriots, Broncos, Lions, Chargers, some of these B tier teams who, most likely playoff teams could make a run, but pretty stagnant as far as my thoughts and opinions today on the Philadelphia Eagles. Last but not least, the Detroit Lions. Once again, I think this comes down to same thing as the Eagles, a team that is playing in a really tough division. The NFC North is going to be a gauntlet. I'm not sure they did too much to improve. Did draft Blake Miller in the first round to try to beef up that offensive line, which is definitely going to help. But we're still relying on Jared Goff. Is he a guy that can get it done in the playoffs and make a run here with these Lions? So I agree with this one. The Lions is a team I would not touch. They're going to win some games this year, of course. Probably push for a playoff spot once again. They have a good roster, a good coach. But the NFC's getting better. There's a lot of other teams that could pass them up. The Ben Johnson era is over. I think this is the Bears division this year. Last but not least, the Denver Broncos. Slight negative move down from plus 1,800 to plus 2,000. Win total still sitting at 9.5. Another one I probably disagree with. I don't see how the Broncos take a step back this year. They're going to keep getting better. Sean Payton with Bo Nix, year 3. This is a team that I'm very bullish on, and I most likely will be taking some futures on the Broncos as we break this down over the next few months. Kind of curious what's prompted this slight negative movement, but one, the initial instinct is I do disagree with this. They did beef up the wide receiver room a little bit with Jalen Waddle. Also brought in running back Jonah Coleman. Didn't draft until the 3rd round. Got a D tackle. So not a lot of movement in the NFL draft. Re-signed Dobbins. I mean, they got some depth in the running back room. Don't really think they lost any major pieces. Drake Greenlaw. I mean, that's could be tough. But yeah, I mean, Broncos. We'll see where this line. I think the Broncos are going to come back up. Might be one I might see where this one goes, but disagree with the movement on the Broncos. And that wraps it up. A lot of the rest of these teams, market's pretty neutral on. Not a lot of movement. We're talking Bengals. I mean, they made that trade for Dexter Lawrence. Did not move the needle. Bears apparently didn't do much in the offseason to move. They're still sitting at plus 2,500 right there with the Bengals. Houston's a team that didn't move much. Chargers didn't move much. Seattle we talked about. And the Saints as well. The Saints has been, numbers are pretty stagnant from February until now. Sitting at 100 to 1. So yeah, just want to kick off this episode with, or this season, just kind of looking at where we stand now in the NFL futures market before over the next few episodes we start diving into our full previews. We'll really kick it up. Schedule should be mid-May, should come out. We'll be eyeing up some win totals in the meantime and really try to get ahead of the market. Things really start to move once the schedules are put in place. We really start to see what these schedules look like, strength of schedule, primetime games, back-to-back road games, like different things that can affect these teams overall. Miss playoffs, maybe a little bit on division winners, but overall, I'm excited. I'm glad to be back. I can't wait to do this for a full season again, all the way through the Super Bowl. Should be throughout the summer, mostly weekly, occasionally bi-weekly episodes up through the season. Once season kicks off, we're every single week we'll be breaking down the board, talking through our process, talking through the bets we're on, what we're watching, and of course, last but not least, hey, let me know your thoughts on X at NT Sports 22. Let me know what team you think made the best offseason movement so far. What teams are making the biggest moves? What do you like? What futures you lined up so far? Let's get the conversation going. And of course, feel free to subscribe, rate, review the podcast, whatever platform you listen to us on. Definitely helps. Appreciate it. Next week, we'll be back, be diving a little bit into college football. This is a football podcast, folks. We may talk a few other sports here and there. College, NFL, throughout the entire season. Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, Mondays. Action starts. We're going to be getting on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. I mean, football season is it's going to be a gauntlet. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be here throughout. So yeah, I will talk to you all next week. Until then, cheers, everybody.